If you want to connect with the leaders, please write to me. So we finished Do You Count and Are You There? But have you got it? Do you have it in you? So we have a very powerful panel out here. To moderate the panel, let me call upon Sunita Venugopal. Sunita Venugopal is a senior manager of corporate communications at Target India. In her current role, she leads internal and external communications and is responsible for establishing the corporate brand in India. Additionally, Sunita extensively supports the employment brand strategy and community relations through contemporary communications practices. With over 14 years of experience, Sunita specializes in public relations, stakeholder engagement, risk mitigation, crisis communications, campaign development, speech writing, CEO communications, and social media. She comes with an experience of working across industries with leading organizations like IBM, WP Peripherals, Good Relations, and Enterprise Public Relations. Sunita, the stage is all yours.
I'm so glad I stuck to this industry. I wouldn't have had a fabulous profile like that. Anyway, very good afternoon to everyone. I just wanted to share a very small story before we start. This was many years ago, and I was being interviewed for a PR agency. And at that point in time, from a skill and competency standpoint, there was 3 things which was asked to me. One was, do you have a two-wheeler? The second one was, can you influence a journalist to carry a press release? And the third one was, can you fix media interviews? We've come a long way. The industry has grown. It's been many, many years, and it's such a wonderful pleasure to see a full house. It just is so reassuring that all of you are so committed in your career. I know I see Subbu here. I don't know how many rounds of economic times I must have done earlier on in my career, right? So, okay. When the council first met, I think talent was one of the key discussion points, and we wanted folks like you to really learn, grow, network with each other, and just like how Sundar and Anusu mentioned, look forward to interacting with folks here. We also have a group which we created in LinkedIn. I encourage all of you to join that group, and we have 3 leaders from the industry here who are so important to the corporate communications folks, right? We have the HR director, we have a marketing director, and we also have the head of corporate communications of Dell. So allow me to introduce them. First, Subhashini, kindly come on stage. Subhashini is responsible for all aspects of HR functions, and she is the Director Human Resources at Unisys India. Her function includes talent development, compensation and benefits, learning and development, recruitment, and HR operations, among others. She brings to this role 19 years of experience, and prior to her appointment with Unisys, she worked with Norton Trust India. She has also worked with Perot System, Telelogic, and Philips. She holds a postgraduate diploma in human resources and a master's degree in electronics. It'll be interesting if one of you can ask her the question, human resources and electronics, right? That's a good combination. Next, may I welcome on stage Mahesh Jairam, Director Corporate Communications, Dell India. 25 years of experience in PR, sales and marketing, with growing responsibility in the area of corporate communications for companies like Dell, IBM, British Telecom, GE Medical System. Primarily charged with shifting perception of Dell India from a translation business to a provider of end-to-end scalable technology solution. He owns the Influencers program for India, in addition to driving competitive campaign. Leveraging, he also leads the Dell Global Events and Thought Leadership Platform. He's extremely passionate of running, and he collects fountain pens and mechanical watches. So are you a customer of HMT? You are? Okay.
Also an excellent calligraphist.
Okay.
Excellent calligraphist.
Great. So look at the talent right now. Great. He's married to Babita, and he's blessed with a daughter, Manya. Last, I have Rakesh Mishra. Okay. Welcome you on stage, Rakesh. Opportunity to create and direct award-winning marketing campaigns, and has developed a number of new products. Prior to joining Target, he has worked with leading organizations like Kohinoor Foods Limited, Image Ads and Communications, and Continental Advertising. Rakesh holds a postgraduate diploma in systems management and an MBA from the Center of Management Development. He's an avid food enthusiast and he has a deep affiliation to Indian mythology. Interesting. Great. So a round of applause for our panelists. All right, before we begin, I have just two ground rules. One is to keep your questions very simple and crisp. And the second one is the focus is on talent. So any questions on talent are welcome. And let me start with my first question to Subhashini. Subhashini, I know your team is here. So my question to you is, what is your expectation from the corporate communications team?
Yeah, good question to ask in front of my team. So we set and start the year with their objective, right? First, let me say that over the years, the definite understanding that I have come up with is any strategy that we develop for the organization, without the communication team playing a crucial role there, is not really fully successful. I mean, that's really what I feel over the years, because as we grow as an organization, communication and connection with employees becomes so crucial. And it can't be complex and crucial as it is today, because I see that even within social media, while social media in itself has developed and come into the space quite a bit, even within social media, what's working well, what's not working well. Somebody very nicely said that social listening, how good are we in listening about our employees, not just within the organization, but outside as well as what they speak. Social media has brought in its own advantages as well, because the advantage I see is we really get to hear them sitting at our desk a click away. But of course, the disadvantage is not just us, everybody else is also watching that, right? So in all, to look at it more holistically, I think the team's role that I see from an HR perspective is that the corporate communication role over the years has evolved, not just being the team which will connect to the external world, but also the team which actually brings the employee inputs back into the system, to the management, being the eyes and ears of the management. And that to me, and hence I said, becomes a central theme of human resources function as well. And so it's so very important function as far as I'm concerned. So you kind of read about all the functions which reports into me and function that works with me. I think the most important central function I would still think is my corporate communication team.
Great, thank you. So my next question is for Mahesh. What kind of talent, Mahesh, do you think this industry will need in the next 5 years' time?
Thanks. Hi, everybody. In the last 10 years, I would say corporate communications has undergone a tremendous change. Today, I see corporate communications as a discipline which is I see corporate communications as a very strategic function, and which is basically pegged around the business outcomes as well as stakeholder management. I believe the fundamental thing for a corporate communications person is to get a seat at the table. And to do that, there are a few imperatives. One is you need to play the role of a counsel or a trusted advisor to your leadership. That's very, very important. You can't just be a postman and just go ahead and do the job. You need to be able to be an advisor to the leader. The second important thing which I believe is we need to put in that effort to know the business you're supporting. And I make this comment because a lot of us, I've seen the success factor, that is a very critical success factor. If you don't understand the business you're supporting, you can't make much headway. It's very important. Third, you need to have some deep, good nurturing relationships in the influencer space. That is important. And the next one would be to be able to tell a story. You should be able to tell a very cohesive, well-differentiated story. Now, these are the fundamentals, whether it is today or tomorrow, as a CorpComms professional, you need to have. Now, moving forward, I see social media playing a very critical role. We are, as you know, sitting on a demographic dividend, if you will, and in the next 5 years, 10 years, a huge percentage of the population will be under 25. It's very important to be able to connect with the young influencers. They could be the online enthusiasts, they could be the digital consumers, the bloggers. It's very important to have that connect, which means there will be what I call as a Twitterization of storytelling. You need to be able to tell your story with a lot of brevity. If you can't do that, then you lose out. Essentially, these are the fundamental things that I think will take you far.
Interesting, thank you. This is probably the last question that I'm going to ask Rakesh, and I'm going to pass on the mic to you folks. So keep your questions ready. Rakesh, today the lines are blurring between PR, marketing, and advertising. So do you think the talent pool has the scope to really explore? And is the industry ready to take them?
So good evening, everyone. My name is Rakesh Mishra, and I think amongst this group of people, I'm probably a little bit of an odd man out with a very, very different background. But we are talking a lot about corporate communications, and before coming into this meeting, we also had a connect as a panel group. In my mind, the corporate communication professional, the role, is actually changing to be a brand strategist. I think what's happening is that, and we want that, right? We want to play a strategic role. I think Suhasini mentioned that. Mahesh mentioned it as well. So with the world kind of becoming really, really closely connected, channels sort of exploding literally, media getting interconnected, we are living in a world where all of us are interconnected. And because we are interconnected, the role that corporate communication was playing, I think, is getting more and more important, and it's expanding. And it's playing a critical role to build the brand, whether it's an organization, whether it's a product brand or a service brand. And in my mind, we don't have to even say that it's blurring. It's already blurred, and we have to seize this opportunity and really, really go after it and make like a big story out of that. And that's what I would say is the most heartening part of what we are seeing.
Thank you, Rakesh. So who's going for their 1 second of fame?
I don't know if it's 1 second or 15 seconds of fame. So it's a two-part question. The first part of it is, there's a book by Abhijit Bhaduri which says, don't hire the best. I'm not relating the content of the entire book here. In our function, meaning marketing, communication, PR, internal communication, all these things, how important is it to hire or not hire the best? I'd like an opinion from HR and all of you, please.
That's an interesting.
How important it is to hire or not hire the best?
Yeah.
See, best is very contextual, right? What is best for me may not be the best for somebody else. So I would assume at any point in time, in the context of the role, whatever we are looking at, best is important. But if the role changes, then that best may not be the best, right? And I think in the newer world, there's so much that changes. I mean, if we look at our own, your own industry, the team that is sitting here, one of the most important, challenges that we would have even within our team is that from a corporate communication perspective, upskilling our corporate communication team to the changing world around us, and understanding that as a competency and hiring that kind of a people or training our team to be able to take up that. So to me, the context of, if the context changes, then we should be ready to accept that best is probably not the best. So I hope that I answered your question.
Yes, you did.
If I can just add, I think Suhasini was absolutely correct. It's contextual how you define best. But in my mind, with this changing world, what you need is adept learners, because the world is changing so quickly that what is best today may not be best tomorrow. So what you really need as a skill set is being able to blend yourself, being able to adapt yourself to these new demands, and don't be stereotyped in your thinking. And that's important. And in our assessment process, if we get candidates like that, those ones are, in my mind, the best, and we should hire them absolutely.
I have a point of view on this as well. See, we like to call ourselves professionals. And I believe as a professional, you need two important qualities. One, you must be able to work unsupervised. And secondly, you must be able to validate the completion of your own work. Okay, which means that all the things my colleague said, you need to have the basics, otherwise you can't validate. You should be able to complete the job in totality. That makes a professional. So that's very important to look for such, or build such traits in oneself.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nav. I'm from T Connectivity. Correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding of a corporate communication person is basically like it's a cumulative understanding from all the presentations I've seen till now. So from that point of view, I'm asking this question. Like, I believe in a corporate communication person to be a knowledge retainer, because if he is involved in business strategy making decisions, and if he's involved in all kind of board meetings and all, so it should not be like he's just involved there. It should not be one-way communication. It should be like if people need information on previous strategy making decisions or other meetings, they should come back to you, and you should have a readily available portal in your, maybe in your intranet, using SharePoint or other database. You can store that information so that you can make it readily available to the people. So how do you think like a fundamental of a corporate communication person becoming a knowledge retainer, that concept, what do you think about that?
Yeah, do you want me to start? Yeah. So I think knowledge management and knowledge repository is given in every role today, unlike what it would have been. Whether it is the corporate communication, or communication definitely, but every other role as well. I mean, today we are not in a position to say that we can exist without knowledge repository or knowledge management, and especially when change is so frequent, when change is so complex, it's more important for us to have the repository. And the repository is not to just have a repository, but be able to retrieve it and look at it and make course corrections and learn from it. So I see that to be, yes, a very important role for this group. But I see that to be important, sitting in my own role, important for every other role. I mean, I take my human resources function. The human resources business partnering as an organization within human resource function has come a long way. And earlier we used to be really relying on the individuals on knowledge of a particular division that they're working with. Today, it is so imperative to have all that knowledge, both in tacit as well as in explicit form, to be in a repository and be able to retrieve it. And we are kind of working on that. I mean, at least the last few years that I know of. So it is important in all the roles, in any function within the organization, for a knowledge-oriented organization. And the role is extremely important. I think you kind of partly answered. If I look at my own corporate communication team, we do our planning sessions for, let's say, for 2015 in the end of 2014. And they play a very crucial role in developing the strategy and implementing the strategy. And when we come up with implementing, I mean, most of the times developing is far more easier than implementing, right? And implementing, they play a very crucial role in being able to tell us what had worked in the past, what has not worked in the past, what will work in the future, what's the current trend looking like, et cetera, et cetera. So even before my plan for 2015 is rolled out to the management, I kind of take the inputs of my corporate communication leader. I mean, Hannah is sitting right here. And that is also a part of our implementing strategy as well. So for that, of course, she needs to be very well equipped with all the knowledge, in the form of a repository. So it's key. I mean, I completely agree that it's an important element of your function.
Sorry, I'll just make a point. See, while you have access to this knowledge across the board, across the organization, the challenge is to be able to filter that accordingly. Because when you create your messaging framework, you need to have a theme. You need to be able to storyboard it. Then you need to be able to craft a differentiated message. So that is the challenge for a corporate communications professional. If you are telling a story, you have so much information around you to be able to pull the right information and articulate that information in the right fashion is the challenge. So that is a skill you need to develop.
I think, I would just support it in some ways, but essentially the role that we see, from a marketing perspective, you are the biggest enabler of that ecosystem that the organization needs to have in order to learn from past mistakes, right? So when you create the knowledge management framework or repository or whatever, I think you are essentially creating an ecosystem so that business people are aware about what had happened, what did we experience it beforehand, so that they have that information readily, and as we have talent kind of coming in, new talent coming in and things like that, they're aware of that, and you are facilitating it in many ways. And to Mahesh's point, you are also being able to distill what's probably the most relevant thing from a messaging perspective.
Hi, my name is Sadhna. I'm from MedDiff Technologies. I just wanted to know one thing. See, when you talk of corporate communication and all these things, now cost cutting is there. You have very, very lean teams. Now, even if you have a marketing division and other people concerned with that, you need 200 different kinds of professionals. Okay, one will design, one will talk to the media, one will do two. It's a very expensive exercise. Let's face it. Smaller companies will find it even more difficult. Do you think it's sensible to outsource it or grow it, in-house? And even if you outsource this, can you trust them? And how long can you trust? One of the gentlemen had said how arm twisting was done because of various reasons. Maybe they couldn't pay, maybe it was not valid, the payment. I don't know. So what do you think is the right strategy for a smaller company to benefit from all these things that are available and grow big?
Do you want to take it?
See, today, when we work with the agencies, they are like our extended partners. They are privy to a lot of it. So they actually play the role of consultants like you mentioned. For example, I speak of Dell, where we work with our agency and they are really our extended arm. They are privy to all the information they have. They are involved in all our planning exercise. So we really try and get the best out of them. But I do agree today it's all about getting more by doing less. I mean, there is a constraint everywhere in terms of resources, budgets, headcount. There is always this challenge. And internally, I can speak for my organization where everybody is doing 3x or 4x from what he or she is mandated to do. So that is, you can look at it from a positive angle. It's a career development opportunity for a lot of these young team members because they are adding on new skills, building new skills to their existing one. And they're also contributing to the organization. And in such times, this is very much valued.
If I can just add, based on, and I wasn't in the earlier sessions, based on the tone and kind of some of the comments that I have heard so far, we realize that this is a strategic function. This is probably one of the topmost priorities today in this interconnected world. I would say whether you're small or big, this has to gain priority for the CEO. And once it gains that priority, I think how much do you want to build within and how much do you want to get through your partners, that's probably going to be a decision. But there were days when organizations, because we started out early, organizations used to think like we would build our sales team all by ourselves. We would have 200 people all over the country, but I would only hire a PR agency, pay them a monthly retainer, and get my work done. That is not going to work in this world. You would have to have, in my mind, this is just my opinion, you would have to really, really invest in that internal knowledge by committing resources. Yet at the same time, depending on how much you can allocate, you may want to take a balanced approach of getting strategic partners also involved. But I would say it's just not a choice anymore, the way I see it.
Subhashini, you had a point.
Yeah,
to
no,
add
I completely agree with both of them. Whether you're a small organization or a big organization, in today's world, I absolutely agree. This is a very important function. And it's also important, it also depends on the organization, right? I mean, we draw a plan, what should be our communication strategy for the year. And which definitely means that whether you outsource it or have it inside, the person or the organization which is working with you on this as an extended arm should completely understand the context, the strategy behind it, and also be able to understand the kind of internal and external stakeholders very well and the culture of the organization, right? If all this can be understood well by, if as a management, you believe that it is well understood by having an internal group, then that's great. If you think that, an external organization can bring in the value proposition that you're looking at, and if it goes well with your business case in terms of the cost, then so be it. But I think at the end of the day, there is no question about not having it. It's more a question of where you want to have it and how close you want to have it, and what kind of value proposition they will be able to bring in, and what kind of business case you have in terms of the cost.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question on behalf of Shreya. Okay, will good writing and articulate talking do the trick?
So is that question with any intent behind? She's looking at me. So. Yeah, so I mean, as a HR person, I would always say that articulation is extremely important, right? I mean, we know the president of US is selected by the capability of articulation, so we can't really, we can't go beyond that. Articulation is extremely important because what you have in your mind, you have to be able to articulate that well. And it will be very difficult for somebody sitting in front of you to be able to understand you and what you're really thinking and how good you are if you're not able to articulate that. So I would think that's very important, not just for any particular function. I mean, even in schools, if you have to really make your point has to come out in the form of articulation. So, I mean, as an HR person, I would think that's very important.
Interesting. Mahesh, Rakesh, do you have anything to add there?
If I can just say, and I'll build on Mahesh actually, so give him credit for that. I would say no, and my answer is pretty direct. Not enough, just writing skill and articulation. I think the role, the way I see it, and in marketing, as you know, we always talk about consumers first. Communication professionals need to just change the lens of thinking about the audience first. Where our audiences are today, great written copy may not make sense to them anymore, and hence I really like the way Mahesh said, Twitterization of storytelling is the order of the day. That means storytelling needs to change in a very different way. And I would just say that just probably answers your question. And thanks for that.
No, there is a other perspective I have. While I agree with Rakesh, it is not enough. Today we are more and more working in a very complex matrix organization with demanding stakeholders. So for a CopComs person, you need to have the skill and the personality to be able to manage that complexity. I've seen oftentimes people with good writing skills who are very articulate just come under that pressure and they're wilt. So, and that becomes a sort of a stumbling block for them to function properly. So it's also, while that is a given, you need to have that, you need to also develop other skills in, like I said, knowing about the business, your confidence in yourself and the respect you earn from your leadership and people around you will come from a lot of other things. So it's a combination of both.
Okay, we have a question there. 1 second.
This is a question which is relating to whatever you said. One thing is relating to what you said, Mahesh. It's about 3x. Whatever we do is 3x, and it's also what Sunita said. It's also a lot of different skill sets. My question is now, if there's, for example, if I'm interested in advertising and I'm also speaking with customers and also part of a little bit of internal communications as well, being also a professional who's also a self-starter and who does a lot more. And if I'm doing 3 or 4 different marketing related functions, which is a bit of customer interaction, a bit of advertising, a bit of corporate communication, won't it dilute, number one? Second is, you mentioned that it's a value add to the career. How do I project myself to the next level? That's also, I need also
What you're mentioning are not fully complementary. I mean, while they are in the realm of communication, what I said is, for example, you could be supporting a particular division. You could also work on customer testimonials. You could also do product reviews. You can add, because in a large organization, each of this is a very focused discipline. I'm saying within the scope of what you're doing, you can add skills there. You can add on, learn things and add skills, which will actually complement. So actually I meant that.
Okay, hi, I'm Soumya from Global Edge Software. So my question is, when you hire a person for corporate communication role, how much importance has been given on the relevant past experience which he's carrying from his ex-organization? Because if it's a person who has come from a purely sales background, what do you think that person can bring difference on the table from his experience, from his sales experience precisely?
I don't know if I can probably answer. First thing first, right, when you are looking for a particular person in a role like corporate communication, obviously as hiring managers, and I'm sure Subhasini would agree, you look at core competency, what the person has done before, and you know, any educational background and things like that. But in my mind, when you go through the assessment process, what the person wants to do really, right? Is he or she passionate about this? Is there a flair for it? In today's world, again, you know, roles are becoming more and more effective if you have the right talent in the right place, if they're passionate about their work. And that's becoming really critical for their success. So I think through the assessment process as hiring managers, if we see that passion, if we see that flair, I don't see any harm in giving an opportunity, because you would bring in a very different perspective if you come in from a sales background, because you understand the consumers, you understand you know, how we are appealing to them, and you'll probably bring that if you are talking about a brand communication role. If that business, let's say, if that business is looking for a role like that. But if it is too much focused on internal communication, or you know, the business is different, that may be a little different from it.
No, I mean, I kind of agree, but I also want to say that definitely core competency will be important, right? I mean, you can't take a salesperson for completely some other different role. So that's given. But what is important is, number two is, if I am leading a group and I'm looking for somebody, I will also look for what competencies the group has and what I really wanting to add there, right? I mean, if it's diversity, and I don't mean diversity in terms of just gender, diversity in thought process, diversity in understanding the social media. I mean, I'm just picking up one stream within that. Then I would look at the person's ability to be able to pick up that. The third important point in today's world is also that, as rightly pointed out by our panel members earlier, is the agility and ability to pick up newer skills and run with it, right? And all that comes in, of course, with a person who has a passion in it as well. Because every others, in another 6 months, the competency that you had, you probably will be losing out on that, and you have to pick up something else. That seems to be the trend today, not just in this group. I mean, of course, this group, it's becoming more and more because of all the complexity that are happening, the technology and the media. But that becomes an important element as well. The ability of the individual to be able to pick up newer things and upskill themselves. And to Mahesh's point again, to be able to do that on their own and not being reminded by somebody else. I think those will be very important underlying areas that we will continue to look at. And we will definitely look at investing in that kind of people as well.
Sure. I just had one point to add. If I'm looking for a new talent to join my team, then I will look for core competency and skills. But if it's a lateral, then I would go with their past behavior, their capability to handle things, and that would be a completely different scenario. So I would look for any of the business leader, if they want to have a career in corporate communications, I'll be open to it.
Hi, this is more of a bit of a comment and a thought. A couple of comments actually, and I think I'm an aberration to all these rules the way I've gone around in my PR career. Just a bit of what we talked about in terms of the necessity of being articulate and writing. I think rightly said. As much as it is important, I think a little more of what is important is probably having a good amount of business diplomacy, and that'll really help. The thought was more to do with PR and the PR part of Corpcom, and a little bit of a narrow thought. And I'd like to pick your minds on this. Whenever there are the achievements of PR that are showcased in front of for measurement. Normally, we see the number of stories that have been featured because of PR efforts and number of the kind of coverage we have got. There is always an invisible side of PR that focuses at times of necessities of the company, that focuses on stories that should not be published, coverage that should not come. This is something that the PR folks can never market. Something that I want to hear from you is how do you think an effective PR person should be measured for his or her effectiveness of stories that have not been published, the invisible set of PR, and how could you recognize, because this is a sensitive issue, the company will never get to know, nobody will ever get to know. And these are blessed problems some of us have in our careers. So if you could throw some light on that, that'll be really nice. Thank you.
Let me take this. I think there is as a PR professional, it's very important to have today what is expected from the business rather, is a very focused, planned approach, which is very linked, like I said, to the business outcomes, right? So you have a very clear plan for the month, for the quarter of how you're going to go about doing your job. And what are the key areas you're going to address. And oftentimes, you are on plan. What the business expects from you is how you're adding value to the business in terms of managing the perceptions. For example, let me take the example of Dell. We were, until very recently, a product company, a box company. Today, we are transforming ourselves to being an end-to-end solutions company. We were a public company until recently, and today we are a private company. This means that whole change which comes about, there's a culture change, there's a lot of change which happens within the company, amongst our stakeholders, for the challenge for us to be able to sort of create awareness, educate them. It's a host of things. And in that scheme of things, there is a possibility that, like you rightly said, there could be a couple of stories, cynical stories about the whole change which would come out. Now, this is something you need to, there are no magic bullets to there. You need to be able to be aware of it and manage. But by and large, if you have a well thought out plan, and if you stay on brief, you will be able to contain that.
Thank you so much. That's more on what I was trying to ask. Just to add, probably what I missed in my last question or thought was that these are unforeseen situations, perhaps in a crisis. So none of your plans would ever all are trashed at that point. And when there's a crisis, there are stories that you would have actually stopped, and there is coverage that you have to, and these are things that you can never showcase internally. Some of those things, but I know it is a little bit.
I'll give you one more example. It can be, sometimes it happens and you need to take corrective action. For example, Dell has always been, or had always been a direct company. But you'll be surprised, today we have embraced channel partners like never before. There is, say, for example, a lot of cynicism there outside saying, Dell has never done business with channel partners before. What do they know about channels? So there will be some stories. Now, if I am able to address that with a positive story where how this trust factor between Dell and the channel partners, or what sort of benefit the channel partners can see in this partnership, it will sort of help. So you need to be able to address that in a different fashion.
Thanks so much. And one question, you can take it anytime before I give back the mic. I'd like the PR experts to throw some light on some of the do's and don'ts during crisis.
So if I can just add, I'm not a PR expert, by the way, but and with Sunita's permission, I'm going to share an experience from a Target perspective. So Target, as you know, we are the second largest retailer in the US, and we suffered a heavy security breach last to last year, 2013 December. And you can argue that with a crisis like that, for months together, you are going to see negative stories. So the PR team was never more important than that situation. So the way I would say, and I'm just kind of sharing it, we're very deliberate about, getting our stakeholders ready to kind of know that these things would happen. But we knew that what we are trying to do, we're very honest about it, we're very authentic about it in our communication to our guests, in our communication to our stakeholders. And you won't believe 9 months down the line, and huge credit to the PR team, we changed a number of things that we were doing that we did differently. And come August, September of this 2014, the whole public mood back in the US has completely changed. Today, it's a remarkable story about Target coming back within 9 months after suffering something like that. And I think the thing that has changed in my mind, and having been in this industry for about a couple of decades, the tendency of any organization suffering a crisis like that would have been very, very defensive. Let's not talk to the media. Let's just stay, pretty close to ourselves, try to figure out what we can do and all that. But we were vulnerable. We showed our, sort of authenticity. Our CMO, Jeff Jones, actually addressed 1,200 marketing senior professionals back in the US, where he literally shared all of the struggles, starting from December 18, all the way through September of 2014. And really candid about how we had failed and then how we resurrected it. And he is one of the topmost CMOs of the US in 2014 because of that radical stand that he took. So again, just to say that we don't have to expect to bask in the glory all the time. When we manage a crisis, I think being prepared to take that on, but at some point of time, the good work would definitely show up.
To add to what Rakesh said, there are standard processes to handle crisis. So you have a business continuity and recovery plan. So corporate communications is essentially a part of that team. So there are specific spokespeople who are authorized to speak at that time, so to avoid confusion. So if the process is well thought out and it is enforced with a lot of discipline, so you need to know what a holding statement is. So in a time of crisis, who will talk to the media? Which media should you engage with? What do you want to say? There's a process for that. So crises will happen, you can't avoid it, but we could handle that.
What it takes to succeed as a corporate communications professional, right? We all have our takeaways today from the insight that our leaders shared. Thank you so much, leaders, for being on this panel. And audience, you've been fabulous today. So thank you so much. I would also like to thank NASSCOM. There's a lot of hard work gone into this. So thank you, folks, and have a good rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Sunita. You're not done yet. Guys, you're not done yet. Sunita, if you could do the honors. Small token of our appreciation to the panelists.
Thank you, Sunita. Thank you.
And Hari, if you could do the honors to our dear Sunita. Huge round of applause. Okay, as mentioned, if you want to connect with the leaders, please write to me. As Hari mentioned, we are rolling out a mentor program. I can see a lot of senior leaders out here. Kindly roll on. My eyes, I can see Melissa, I can see Vivek out here, I can see PD, I can see Joshua from the product vertical also. Hey, you put me out, yeah? All right, okay. So kindly roll on. I will be sending a formal email on whatever happened today and about the mentor program. And also we have a LinkedIn group where we have the leaders in it. Kindly join the LinkedIn group also. So enjoy, and there is chai and coffee and some snacks available. I know it's been a long 3 hours, but I know it's been a very, very fantastic, I think, knowledge-grabbing 3 hours. I hope you enjoyed. Did you? All right. So kindly write to me, because I'm the one who's been communicating with all you guys. I know I've been holding you with a lot of emails. So kindly write to me with your feedbacks and your views and what we should do next. We will try and do it. Okay. One last, Hari. I would like to invite Hari for last 2, sentences on just closing the session, just like that for fun. Come on. You're corporate communication, sir.
No, I think I am the host, so I think we should ask the others. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought, we put in some thought into organizing this. First of all, we had a lot of sessions as to what pillars we should choose when we started this forum. Like any new forum, we learn as we evolve. So we came together for the first time, and I think a lot of contribution from the 3 vertical heads who made the presentations today, Sunita, Anisu, and Sundar earlier. So we are open to suggestions. These need not be just the 3 pillars. There could be more. So we would like you to actually participate in some of our meetings that NASSCOM holds. Again, this is the very first year, so as we go along, I think we should become bigger and more cohesive. But I thought, personally, I'm not the right guy to give my view because I was the host of this event today. Personally, I thought it was a good beginning. And of course, there's a lot of ground to cover. Just the tip of the iceberg, but somewhere we have to start. So we look forward to your participation, in fact, in a much bigger way as we go along with more thoughts, more ideas, so that we also become a strong forum under the aegis of NASSCOM, the technology companies at least, just like the HR folks. I always envy the HR folks and the finance folks and others, the marketing folks also, that if there's anything, they just pick up the phone, as I said earlier, and within no time they're connecting with their colleagues. And then suddenly the MD comes and asks us, why don't you check with your fraternity? We don't want to let down our fraternity. So I said, yeah, we'll do it. But who is going to talk to? Maybe Mahesh, who worked with me for a number of years. I had the privilege of working with him for a long time. So like that, I think we can start a forum here where we can exchange ideas, network with each other, so that in case of crises, especially crises can hit you very badly in communications. Yesterday's headline said IBM is sending off 5,000 people. So that's a crisis, for them. I'm an ex-IBMer, he's an ex-IBMer. So, we have faced such crises. So I think this is just a beginning. We would like to invite you to more and more of our meetings. Keep in touch with NASSCOM. We're all members here in NASSCOM. And then I think all of us can contribute and make this a really strong forum. As the first chair of this forum, I'll be really happy. I'll be passing on the baton in a couple of months to someone else. But I'll be really happy if this forum really, from the small seeds that we sowed, can really become a very strong and powerful forum for communicators here in Bangalore. Thank you very much.
Awesome. On a funny note, when Anisu mentioned about the Cloud Score and the Salesforce, I saw the smile on Nitya. Nitya is from Salesforce. She had this biggest smile when that was happening. We should ask her Cloud Score. All right, guys, enjoy your tea and just enjoy your day and have fun. Okay, bye.